God freaking damn it, dude. I can't believe how absolutely clueless Cid continues to be. Even though it is funny, I just don't even know how Cid comes up with these concoctions in his head anymore. Like, his fantasy is absolutely stellar, I have to give him that. Hello, and welcome back. Today we are indeed looking over episode 9 of season 2 of The Eminence in Shadow. And yes, we are finally starting on the last arc for season 2. At least I'm pretty sure this is the last arc, the Oriana War arc, whatever it's called. Not that I have read into it much, but that is what I understand it to be. Now, I have for a while been wanting to really see Rose's story fleshed out and her character fleshed out much more, especially in the wake of what she did to her father and how she left the kingdom, basically, back home after the end of season 1. And this arc is probably going to handle a lot of that. And we did get a good amount of character information about her and how she is doing, which isn't the best right now, to be fair, in this episode. So let's just start with Rose, shall we? We start the episode basically by seeing Rose having a nightmare. Clearly, she still has some major PTSD and other various mental challenges, I assume, due to the fact that she, well, literally murdered her father, which is tough to take, even for the most seasoned warrior. So clearly she is still very, very heavily, deeply struggling with this, and it keeps her up at night and otherwise just makes her have a not fun time, and it probably makes her seem very shut off and much of a loner, etc., not wanting to let anyone in, and all of that good stuff. At this point, we continue on the episode with Rose and her merry band of Shadow Garden girls going on this mission to this fort, which is apparently a ruin that the cult is interested in, and it is at this point that she sees her mother being dragged to the front to unlock some sort of vault, to get some sort of ring, which is a key for some cryptic thing we don't know yet. But this is the point where 559, which we get introduced to this episode, who is apparently a bit of a badass and is very skilled and powerful in the Shadow Garden ranks, basically goes to execute her mother. Why? Don't really know, but she does, and Rose intervenes and saves her mother, and basically 559 brands her as a traitor, and Rose goes with her mother back to the city and that entire thing, right? And now she's engaged to Perv Asshat. Still such a great name. And that, of course, creates some misunderstandings with Shadow we will get to later. Now, I assume that Rose might have just wanted to save her mother purely because of her guilt for killing her own father. It didn't look to me like her mother was too great of a person. Like 665 or whatever said that, is she the queen that sleeps around? I assume she was going to say, but she was cut off. I assume her mother is not the most moral or upright type and might just use Rose for whatever own goals she has, but I assume Rose still wants to protect her with her life because of the trauma she suffered by not being able to save her father prior. Anyway, though, that family dynamic is interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing more with how that is going to develop in these next episodes to end off season 2. I'm also somewhat interested to see this rivalry between 559 and Rose, aka 666, as apparently Rose and 559 are the only two Shadow Garden members that were blessed, so to speak, to get their powers by Shadow directly, as every other member outside of the 7 Shadows have gotten their training and power from the 7 Shadows, not Shadow directly. So 559, for some reason, seems to have some sort of rivalry or otherwise tense relationship with Rose. She doesn't think she deserves the honor she has gotten by being given this power directly by Shadow, and thinks she's weak, etc., not worthy, etc. And in the end, she basically wants to have her killed and executed because she sees her as a traitor, unworthy of Lord Shadow's blessing, etc. I'm not quite sure if there's some other underlying thing there, or if it's just the connecting point of both being blessed by Shadow and that being a special thing. If there is some underlying backstory there outside of that, I'm interested to find out, but I don't think so. We'll have to see, though. Now, outside of Rose in this episode, the big storyline we are following is Cid and his, let's say, self-finding journey that he went on after the end of the last arc, and how he's trying to find himself now because he is really contemplating his own image as the Eminence in Shadow, and what should the Eminence in Shadow really be? What should he do? What sort of person is he? And trying to contemplate all these philosophical things, I suppose, and think of what to really do, as till now he's just been reacting and doing things as he wanted to in the moment, but is that really how the Eminence in Shadow does things? So he has a whole think about that, while at the same time we get reintroduced to the prostitute girl, Mary, from the Lawless City arc that I knew she was going to come back in the show because there was no reason to cover her that much otherwise. But I'm really wondering if they only got her back so she could have some clips with Cid back and forth and he could do the loser trying to save her shtick and get beaten up, or if this is going to be some continual thing moving forward, as this author likes to really kill a joke and beat it till it's even more dead. So I assume this is just going to be a shtick now, that this girl is going to pop around in the world and Shadow is just randomly going to run into her and help her in some way, and she's going to think it's all because he's watching over her and cares about her, when in reality he doesn't give two shits. He doesn't even know her, doesn't even remember that he saved her because he is absolutely clueless. Speaking of being clueless, this is when we get into Cid making his own absolutely crazy theories, though it fits him well, that for some reason he thinks that Rose killed her father because she wanted to do a power play and take the throne from him, and she wants to be a ruthless, tyrant, tyrannical queen and rule with an iron fist. And that's what he thinks she meant when she told him that she wanted him to keep his faith in her, etc., when they parted ways as Cid and Rose. So now Cid just actually thinks this is her plan, and he is determined to help her become this absolutely tyrannical, horrible queen that is going to do God knows what, just so Cid can have his Eminence in Shadow shtick really get into the limelight. As he himself says, to have a light, you need a shadow, and the darker the shadow, the bigger the light, right? So he wants Rose to be this absolutely horrible, tyrannical, evil queen, so he can come in and save people and really run with this Eminence in Shadow shtick and make it more popular, more mainstream, question mark? I don't know, dude, but Cid is planning, he is plotting. And as Cid gets this image in his head and this plan in his head and this thought in his head that, of course, yes, Rose is doing this so she can become a tyrannical queen, this whole Civil War thing, it's just so that she can become this horrible tyrannical queen, and I need to put her in that position because I need that so I can be more of a hero and have stuff to do as the Eminence in Shadow. Of course, Shadowguard and everyone else is going to think when he does this, it's a part of some grand plan and things are going to work out very differently than what he imagines. But that's his plan anyway, right? For now. And when he finds out from 559 that Rose, quote-unquote, betrayed them, even though he has no idea apparently about the numbers, he thinks it's some sort of employee ID. I can't believe he's still so absolutely stupid, I have to say at this point, like mentally set back, that he doesn't realize what is going on when it is literally presented right in front of him. But yeah, he doesn't know Shadow Garden girls really do these things as a full-time job, or does it for him or for Shadow Garden on his behalf. But anyhow, when he finds out that Rose is getting engaged, he somewhat takes the advice of 559, who wants to execute her for her betrayal, and runs off to, well, sort out this betrayal, as Cid sees Rose getting engaged to Perv Assat as a big betrayal to his own concocted storyline that she was going to be a mad evil queen, but if she's getting married, she won't be the evil queen anymore. So he needs to fix this so she can take the position as the next ruler, so he can get his Chuuni fantasies going in the right way. Very standard stuff with Cid. He keeps doing his thing. And I can't wait to see what really happens at the end of this arc in season 2, and how Cid is going to just absolutely fumble the ball, but still make things work perfectly, and then start thinking of some new Chuuni things to do after. In other news though, outside of Rose and Cid, which were the mainstays of this episode and what I most focused on, as I said, I did find the introduction of 559 interesting. I want to know more about her backstory and what makes her tick. But she also apparently has some very interesting thoughts about Shadow Sama here, as she says to herself, I wish you would take me and do something. Now, I'm sure we can all think what that something is, as 559 clearly has some not holy thoughts in her head when Shadow comes back and saves her again. We'll have to see, though, if they do anything with her moving forward, or if that was sort of her one-and-done deal in terms of being really on stage in the show and being brought forward to do some plot things. I also did really like Gamma having her bedroom shown and having all these teddy bears and stuffed animals there, even having a literal tiny chibi stuffed shadow-like character in her bed that she pats on the head, and it's all to his wants. It's all what he desires. Okay, Gamma, okay. And while we didn't really get much info about this ring and the hero's blood and the cult and what they're doing with these things, that will come in the next few episodes, I'm sure. Overall, though, I'm very much looking forward to seeing how this season is going to end and what they're going to do with that, and seeing Rose really develop as a character, hopefully, and really hopefully seeing her grow, maybe overcome some things, some challenges, some mental blocks, and just seeing the Oriana kingdom hopefully come back to its own and get out of this civil war and horrible, destitute situation. Anyhow, though, what did you think of this episode? Like it, hate it, leave all those comments down below. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to support this video, my channel, and everything I do here. Deeply appreciate that. As an end note as well, I was thinking of starting with this episode and most of my videos, when it is relevant, to add in sections or chapters in the YouTube videos of what I'm talking about. If I'm talking about, for example, in this video, Rose's story, and then Cid's story, or just having more proper sections if I am talking about one specific thing over a decent time span, so it's more easy to go through the videos and pick the sections you're most interested in. Or if you've heard enough about one section, let's say you didn't want to hear about me babbling about Rose for 10 minutes, you can just, after 5 minutes, be, okay, I get that now, I want to hear more about, let's say, Cid's storyline this episode, and then skip to that part of the video and watch that, instead of just not really finding what more you want to know in this video, or any video for that matter. If you like that idea, please comment so and say so as well. So that being said, I hope you have a good day, and if you want to watch another video of mine, click on this one right here. I will see you next time, so bye-bye, have a good day, watch more anime, I will see you next time, bye-bye.